Welcome back to week 7 of The Artist's Way. Week 7 is recovering a sense of connection. I'm not really sure how to kind of summarize what this week is supposed to be about, but I'm just gonna go through because I did a lot of highlighting in this chapter, and I'm just gonna kind of go through the parts that stuck out to me and then yap a little bit. So on the first page of the chapter, page 117, she says, "Art is not about thinking something up. It is about the opposite, getting something down. If we're trying to think something up, we are straining to reach for something that's just beyond our grasp. When we get something down, there is no strain. We're not doing, we're getting." This is interesting because I think that that's one of my biggest problems is instead of dedicating unserious time to just practice, especially when it comes to writing, I don't accomplish anything because I'm so obsessed with like trying to think up like a great idea. And I felt very called out in this chapter, especially considering the way that I kind of abandoned the like short story thing that I was doing at the start of The Artist's Way. I think it's a middle ground. I think that there is a level of not forcing myself to do writing if I wasn't feeling it. But I also did know that like on a deeper level, there was some avoidance happening. And I even say that in that video. Which brings me to a different thing she says. On page 119, she says, "Perfectionism is a refusal to let yourself move ahead. It is a loop, an obsessive, debilitating, closed system that causes you to get stuck in the details of what you are writing or painting or making and to lose sight of the whole. The perfectionist writes, paints, creates with one eye on her audience. Instead of enjoying the process, the perfectionist is constantly grading the results. For the perfectionist, there are no first drafts, rough sketches, warm-up exercises. Every draft is meant to be final, perfect, set in stone. To the perfectionist, there is always room for improvement. The perfectionist calls this humility. In reality, it is egotism. Perfectionism is not a quest for the best. It is a pursuit of the worst in ourselves, the part that tells us that nothing we do will ever be good enough, that we should try again." Yeah. And that was very fucking real for me. The writing thing, I put so much pressure on myself about it. It's hard for me to set goals about it because when I inevitably always disappoint myself because I am a perfectionist, it just reinforces that I can't do it or I think I can't do it. And later she says, "Usually when we say we can't do something, what we mean is that we won't do something unless we can guarantee that we'll do it perfectly. And you can never guarantee that you'll do anything perfectly. And so if that's your standard, you won't create anything." And that's the loop that I'm stuck in. There's not really a way around what to do about this other than I just have to write like anything that's not morning pages. I need to write anything that isn't morning pages. And I need to become comfortable with doing bad writing without like letting the voices in my head tell me that like it sucks and I'm an imposter. Yeah, some tough love that was needed, I think, from Julia in this chapter. Okay, so let's move on to the week 7 reflection. The first question is like 3 different questions. So we're gonna go one at a time. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? I did my morning pages 5 out of 7 days this week. Definitely an improvement from last week, which is a relief. Have you allowed yourself to daydream a few creative risks? I thought of some ideas for some like just like practice writing exercises that I'm going to try this week. That feels like a creative risk because I'm my fear is that I'll try it and be dissatisfied and then quit again. And I just need to accept that, like, I'm gonna try and I am gonna be dissatisfied, and like that's a necessary building block, and I just need to keep doing that over and over until it doesn't feel so hard to risk disappointing myself. Are you coddling your artist child with childhood loves? One thing I did this week was I rearranged my kind of like office space and converted it into more of a like office slash art studio. So like I have my desk and my computer monitor that I use like to work from home, but I pushed the desk into a corner and like rearranged the furniture in there. Pushing it into the corner, it just feels more like mine, or like more like a separate room, even though my apartment is quite small. And I decided I'm gonna start like hanging up. Whenever I do art, I'm gonna like put it on my wall or like put it on my pegboard, if I like it, obviously. I feel like that awakes something very childlike that I have missed, is like that unabashed like being proud of like something you created and like wanting to display it and look at it. I also started rereading one of my childhood favorite books, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And it was actually very kind of uncanny. I'm gonna go grab it real quick, actually. So if you've never read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the dedication says, "My dear Lucy, I wrote this story for you, but when I began it, I had not realized that girls grow quicker than books. As a result, you are already too old for fairy tales, and by the time it is printed and bound, you will be older still. But someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. You can then take it down from some upper shelf, dust it, and tell me what you think of it. I shall probably be too deaf to hear and too old to understand a word you say, but I shall still be your affectionate godfather, C.S. Lewis." I first read this book when I was probably about 8 years old, and I didn't really understand it at the time. The like, someday you'll be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. And it just felt very kind of like full circle with like getting back in touch with like our artist child that we've been doing throughout these 7 weeks. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying it right now. I've never read the other books in the series except for Prince Caspian, so maybe that's something to try this winter if I want to just cozy in. Another kind of like loving thing I did for my artist child was I was out and I came across this like shop, and I paid for this probably too expensive tote bag, but it's huge and has a zipper. So I'm kind of planning to use it mostly as like an overnight bag when I just need like more space. But it's a bread. It's a little toast with a pat of butter on him. And I just think that's the sweetest thing in the world. And just like looking at it makes me really happy. So that was something loving I did for myself, I guess. Did you do your artist date? I did. It was more low-key this week. It was an unusually social and busy week because it was my boyfriend's birthday week. So I kind of combined my artist date with task 7, which was to make a collage. A lot of times when I collage, I kind of try to have more of a theme, but this time I just decided to like grab any image that just like either felt inspiring or pleasing to the eye and just put it all together. And I was really pleased with the result, and I did it quite fast, which felt way better than like agonizing over like the placement of every scrap of paper. And I hung it up in my new like art studio / office space. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? I wouldn't say that I did, other than like what I just said about like the dedication in Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I don't really think of that as synchronicity. It's just like fitting for the time. Were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. Nothing immediately is coming to mind because, like I said, I was like very busy socially this week, but I did get a letter from my grandma that I wanted to share some tidbits of. She is 86 and a painter and like my favorite person in the world. A couple of weeks ago, I wrote to her about The Artist's Way and like shared some quotes from it. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through and share some things that she wrote. Your book sounds so good, I may have to get it. Creativity is the natural order of life. I love that, so true. Your ancestors did it too. They made quilts, embroidered, knitted, crocheted, and painted a bit. We didn't know what mental health meant. If we were bored, we created a new hobby. When Grandma lost her sons, it was create or die of depression. I'm going to paint oranges this week. I am now again a beginner. I hope that was enjoyable for you if you just wanted some old lady wisdom. Hearing somebody who is in the later years of their life still be willing to be a beginner is really awesome, and I just love her so much. And it makes me want to do what I can as well to be comfortable being a beginner. That's all I have for you this week. I will see you next week for week 8, which is recovering a sense of strength. Thank you for watching. Bye.